Today's distinction is time with a little t and time with a big T. Time with a little t and time with a big T. I'd be curious, firstly, before we even start, what even comes to mind for you as I start off with that idea. The idea here is really about short-term time, which I'll call with a little t, and long-term time, which I'll call with a big T. The short-term time, the concept itself came from when I was an actuary, taking actuarial exams. And what I realized was that there was a certain time allocation that was necessary to study for each hour's exam. Uh, so let's say it was 100 hours for every hour of the exam. So in a 3-hour exam, I was constantly studying. I was supposed to study for 300 hours. I ended up studying probably about like 225 or 250 per exam, and I took 6 of them. Actually, I took like like 10 of them because I wasn't passing them. Because in the short term, that extra 75 hours, that extra 50 to 75 hours of studying was more little time T than I wanted to put in. What that meant was that on the larger time horizon, instead of passing the exam the first time and being done with it, I had to take it again, and it lasted with me. It ended up being like 1 exam per year pass as opposed to 1 exam every 4 to 6 months. And that then led into the time with the big T. You see, in trying to save those 75 hours, I actually ended up spending 6 extra months going back and really having to work on things. And so I love to look at things in time within that lens of like the small time and the big time. The other thing I think about when it comes to, well, let me just pause really quickly before I do that. Do you have an example in your life of a time where this short T time got in the way of the big T time, right? Where you did something, you rushed through it, or you cut some corners or whatever it was in the short term, and it actually elongated the entire process in the long run. So think about that one first. Just wanted to see. There's another side of this here that also you can play with, time with a big T and time with a little t. This one here comes around the time horizon that you have for any given project. I'll use myself again as an example. But before I do that, I think the element of this here is around overwhelm, around stress, around doubts, around negative self-talk, and really just, just not being kind to yourself or not giving yourself the grace because of a project, because of a deliverable, because of an idea that you had that isn't coming to life in the time frame that you had set out for. I know this one intimately. And so this distinction around time with a big T and time with a little t has been showing up for me recently when it's come to actually just building out the Trailblazer Collective, which is my community of practice for globally minded, socially conscious, and impact-driven leaders who go against the grain and are willing to reshape the status quo into something new so that themselves and others have a future that's distinct from the past going forward. And there were 2 elements of this big T, little t that showed up. First one was when I got the first person to say yes. The first person came in, they said that I'm signing up for a year and I'm doing this with you. And I remember thinking, do I have everything in place? And I called up one of my friends in the mastermind. This is exactly why I created the collective, because it's like sometimes you jump in and you're like, okay, now what? I had someone that I can call up immediately, and we were able. He was like, I can talk to you in 15 minutes. Let's go. Do you have someone like that for you, by the way? Let's just make sure I'm checking in on this. I think there's some important parts along the way that I don't want to miss. Do you have someone that you can call? Do you have a group of people you might be able to reach out to? If not, you might want to actually consider checking out the collective, because this is one of the benefits of that we have as in the ways that we've created it. Well, I called up my friend, and while he had some specific tactical advice in that moment, he did call out one thing. He's like, I also just want to call out that like this person's committed to working with you for the next year. What you do in the next 7 days, you have an entire span of 365 days to continue to build upon. Don't have to, not everything needs to come down into the next week. What happens right now, what that next email. I didn't realize it, but what I did is I let out a huge sigh of relief. I didn't realize I was holding my breath. I was holding a lot of tension around that because in the time in the little T, I felt like I needed to get it right then. But once the horizon continued to expand to a year, I'm like, oh yeah, this is simple. I know exactly what to do when it comes to this. Uh, Another example for me. Well, let me pause. I'm trying to slow down. What I want to do is practice giving space along the way. I'll give one last example here, and more than anything else, I'm giving these examples just to see if it sparks up different ways for yourself, and then you can come back and let me know, or share it within the Trailblazer tribe or collective if you want to come and play with us. The last one's around the collective in general. This year, over the last few months, there's been a lot of activity from organizing 12 sessions to support 12 live sessions to support people during the transition of COVID-19 when it first hit America and beyond, to organizing Racism 20, which was an open forum to talk about racism and the impacts in our lives. And other ways of just jumping in to support others. And it took me about 2 months to really get the Trailblazer Collective off the ground, from when I knew I wanted to do it and I was committed to it to when it actually came to life. And for a long time, I was just not. I was like, I just don't understand why it took so long. I cannot get this. And it wasn't until just a few days ago that I realized that I had the wrong time horizon on it. I was looking at the 2 months and thinking, why didn't it come out a month from now, so on and so forth. But the real reason is the Trailblazer Collective is something I'm absolutely committed to. Whether it's for a year or 25 years, all I know is that I'm in. And so in the grand scheme of 25 years, in the grand scheme of a lifetime of supporting Trailblazers and Outliers and Pioneers and Mavericks, this 2 months is negligible. In fact, it was the little time T that I needed to make sure that I can stay in the game for the long run. I feel really solid with the infrastructure that we've built and what's going to continue to grow from here going forward. So I'm going to end this year with you just being able to think a bit for yourself about time with the big T and time with the little T. Brought up a couple of different examples of how it's being played out for me right now, just to give you some examples to think through. But more than anything else, it's about your experience. So where is one place in your life right now where if you simply expanded your perspective on the time horizon would offer you the space that you need and the clarity that you need to see that project or vision through with integrity, period. Let me know. Take the next 24 hours and identify that project or vision, and spend in that 24-hour period. Give yourself some time and space to see what it might look like if it didn't need to be done now, if you weren't behind, if your time horizon was simply elongated. And play with it as you need to over the span of multiple years. All right. I'm Niiamahashong. Wherever you're reading this, leave a comment. Go ahead and let's start a conversation amongst each other around this here. And then if you're interested in going even further, you can meet me inside of the Trailblazer tribe, where we meet each week to have a conversation that matters. And if you're really ready to play, come join us inside of the collective, our community of practice, where you get a chance to practice being the leader who is going to shape the world that's around you. All right. If you're ready to take it to the next level, that's where we're at. I'll talk to you later. You can get to it by going to niiamahashong.com/collective, or if you're interested in joining us in the tribe, you can go to niiamahashong.com/tribe. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hey, Niiamah here. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet, and then go ahead and leave one of your insights from today's video in the comments below. If you're looking to take this deeper, you can go and watch another video, or you can go to niiamah.com/tribe to get exclusive invitation to our tribe member only events. I'll see you soon.